it is, you say, hotting up inside and out. So 11 candidates we've got now officially on the ballots. We're expecting voting to start on Wednesday, but interesting, we're going to get the rules this afternoon of how the process is going to play out. Meeting of the 1922 committee. Could we see a couple of more? Potentially. Priti Patel, the Home Secretary, is being talked about an awful lot, potentially going to run in this race. And even suggestions that Jacob Rees-Mogg might throw his hat into the ring.
What's wrong with them all?
As the continuity candidate, the man, of course, who's been incredibly loyal to Boris Johnson, both behind the scenes and in front of the camera over the last couple of months. But what we're starting to see is lots of these candidates lay out their policy positions, say what they would do in government. Naheem Zahawi, the Chancellor, is currently speaking in Westminster at the moment, talking about taxation, talking about trying to go back to sensible Thatcherite politics, while at the same time saying he would actually cut public spending quite significantly to try and raise money for tax cuts. And there's lots of suggestions of dirty trick campaigns as well, with kind of different groups leaking information and slagging each other off in order to kind of destroy other candidates. Interestingly, the Prime Minister today, though, as you may have well seen in the news, insisting he's not going to take part in any of this and let it play out, and he's not going to back any particular candidates.
Well, his logic was, I'm not going to back any particular candidates because I might ruin it for them. Which, it doesn't exactly sound genuine, or like he suddenly found his moral compass to do what's right after all of the shenanigans we've seen recently.
Well, I think in many ways, obviously, some candidates may not want it, others may well do, but I think when you're the current leader, you do have to kind of stay out of these things, as the Prime Minister realised. I think, hopefully, he was saying that somewhat in jest. I think what is fascinating is kind of two things. First of all, we're seeing this real divide at the moment, Bev, between kind of on taxation. This is clearly the systemic issue of this kind of leadership campaign. You've kind of got the Rishi Sunak camp who are saying, well, we cannot afford to cut taxes right now. It's simply not sensible economic policy. You've got quite a lot of candidates saying, no, this is my number one issue that I'm going to do, essentially, as Liz Truss, the Foreign Secretary, suggested on day one, is to look at tax cuts. And then you've got the other camp who are kind of somewhat in the middle saying, you know, we need to do this, but maybe just not right now. And I add to this, the other really interesting thing are going to be the rules of this contest. So the 1922 committee, it's the governing body of the Conservative Party, meeting later on today. It's going to be what threshold, essentially, do you need to get in terms of MPs backing to get into the actual first round. Now, at the moment, there are only two candidates who publicly have the backing of more than 20 MPs, and they are Penny Mordaunt, the International Trade Minister, and Rishi Sunak. Now, clearly that will change in the days to come. Only half the party have declared who they will back. But when that contest starts on Wednesday, that's when we think the first round of voting is going to be. It will be fascinating to see how many of the currently 11 candidates, potentially 12, potentially 13, will actually make it into the first rounds.